Good day, Madame Chopin. Good day, Monsieur Chopin. Good day, Professor. Good day, Isabel. Here's a pupil for you. He's superb this morning, superb. And how's Madame?
The same, thank you.
And how is little Isabel this fine day?
Very well, thank you, but it isn't a fine day. It's raining.
And what are you doing in the straw hat and slippers?
But only yesterday the sun was shining. Who can keep track of all these changes in the weather? From Paris, this morning. Who sent it? Louis Pleyel. Who's he? Let me ask. Who owns the finest concert hall, the greatest publishing house in Paris? Monsieur Pleyel. Who was it, when he was traveling through Germany 15 years ago, heard me play in the trio and shook my hand warmly and said, "My dear friend, you were magnificent. I shall never forget you." Monsieur Pleyel. And now, who takes the time in faraway Paris to send an important letter to Professor Elsner, Warsaw, Poland? Who?
Monsieur Pleyel.
Monsieur Pleyel. Yes. Listen. Listen. My dear Professor Elsner, thank you for your letter concerning the exceptional talent of your pupil, Frédéric Chopin. If the young pianist should ever find himself in Paris, we shall be pleased to give him a hearing. Respectfully, Henri Dupin, Secretary to Louis Pleyel. Well,
Frederick in Paris?
naturally. For the past year, I said to myself, Joseph, I said, this gifted boy must be shown to the world. The world is Paris. Paris is Pleyel, and Pleyel is your friend. Well, here's the answer.
My dear Professor, Frederick's a little boy. How could
My
you
dear madam, in Paris last month, a young pianist by the name of Franz Liszt made his debut, and he is 13 years old.
Frederick is only 11.
Well,
And what about the little question of money, Professor?
money?
For this trip to Paris, yes. For my teaching of French, we are scarcely alive as it is.
Oh, yes, money.
In fact, when did we last pay you for a lesson, Professor?
I refuse to fill my head with trifles, madame, and that is final. I didn't say go to Paris tomorrow or next week, but I do say let us plan for it and save for it. There's a boy waiting to be heard, and here is Paris, waiting to hear him. Someday those two facts must come together, madame. I insist upon it. Such tones from a piano. Mozart as he should be played. The brilliance, the ease, the tip.
Isabel.
Frederick! Frederick!
More Polish prisoners. The Tsar is taking them to Siberia.
That's so, Freddy. And what about our lesson today? Come now.
You don't understand, Professor.
I don't understand. What?
You are not a Pole. You are German.
So? I cannot understand Siberia and freedom. My dear boy, music and freedom are like one. They both belong to the world. A real artist wants freedom in every country.
Poland, too?
Well, listen to him. Of course, Poland.
You mean you would even help?
Help? What do you mean, help?
Well, I've been talking to Jan and Titus. When we grow up, all the boys are going to help.
Then put down the name Joseph Elsner. He's with you.
Thank you.
Professor Joseph Elsner.
We have secret meetings. Will you come?
A pleasure, my boy.
But don't tell Father. He'd worry.
I know. I know very well. All right, my boy, let's start. The Mozart, please. Is that Mozart?
No, that's Frédéric Chopin. I wrote it.
Oh. You're composing now. Mozart isn't good enough.
It's a waltz.
I'm glad you told me. I would never know.
like it?
Offhand, not at all. But how can I tell? Until I hear it. Go ahead.
I think it's very nice.
I'll decide that, please. For a little boy, it's not... It's even rather... In fact, a fair talent for composition. A distinct gift. In fact, that phrase was wrong. Very ugly.
I like it that way.
Oh, you do? You will please never say you like it when your professor says it is wrong. Here, I'll show you. Such a stubborn little boy. Here. All right. If you want to be stubborn, go ahead. Beautiful. Frédéric, do you know what a wonderful city Paris is? All the great musicians and artists and writers are.
Yes, Professor.
Imagine playing there and 1,000 people shouting, "Bravo, Frédéric!" Do you know what they would say then?
What?
They would say, "This Frédéric Chopin, he's Polish. His people ought to be free. Why don't we see to it? You understand what I mean, Frédéric? What a way that would be to help. What a way.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Lovely day.
And you're wearing overshoes.
Oh, well, you never know. It may start to rain.
Oh.
A new dress?
Tonight for Frédéric's concert at Count Budzinska's.
Don't tell me you've forgotten that.
No, certainly not. Frédéric is honored. He will play for the Count and his guests while they clatter with knives and forks and stuff their stomachs. And you, my dear friends, will be allowed to stand in the pantry and peek through a crack. And for such privilege, madame, you go to this trouble.
People will see us coming and going, Professor.
Yes. Ah, monsieur.
Good day, Professor. Will he play well tonight, do you think?
Too well for Count Budzinska.
Professor, if the Count is pleased, he may decide tonight. Frédéric will be named to teach at the conservatory.
Fine place to bury a genius.
It would mean everything to us.
Yes.
It doesn't help matters to talk that with you, Frédéric, about it.
Me?
Although encourages thinking about revolutions.
You actually mean...
Come, Professor, I know very well. He's being seen that crowd of young firebrands, Jan and Titus, and the girl Constantia, all of them. He's been going to secret meetings.
You don't say.
You didn't know, of course.
Me? I merely teach music.
Hands like Frédéric's were not meant to carry guns.
I agree, monsieur.
The best way for him to serve his people would be to become great in his own profession.
My very words, madame. If Frédéric could find himself a place, say, like...
Paris again?
Again? When did I last mention Paris?
A week ago.
There you are. 7 days. By the way, monsieur, my small savings would be sufficient.
Excuse me. I have no time today for Paris.
Monsieur, one moment. I think Frédéric should practice on my piano for an hour or two before the concert. It's slightly different, slightly better. It will make him more relaxed, more confident. I suggest he come with me now and stay through dinner. We can meet, all of us, at the Count's in the pantry at the correct time.
If you think so, very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Ah, lovely dress. Lovely day. What's this you're playing? What idiot wrote that?
I am the idiot.
Oh, sure. Well, let's listen a minute. Actually, not bad. It's distinguished. I'm insane. It's magnificent.
What am I but the reflection of my teacher?
Of course, natural. Liar.
Well, did you see Titus and Jan?
The meeting is tonight.
The Russian arrived? He's
Yes.
going to speak?
Yes.
What am I going to do?
You'll be there.
With his concert to give?
They'll start the meeting earlier just for you. Then if we leave punctually at 9, we'll be just in time at the Count's.
Father and Mother won't let me out of their sight.
All so arranged. You're coming to my house now, but to relax.
Professor, you are a remarkable man.
What have I been telling you? Come, get dressed.
Yes.
Oh, Mama, how elegant. Not too far, is it, then?
Look at that time.
Not here yet.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry. Maestro Paganini plays next. And then your son.
Where are we? Where are they?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You want those rights too, so do my people. We have that one hope in common. Yet they tell us that the Polish people and the Russian people are enemies. Not the tyrants of both people, however, the little army of leeches under the Tsar. They aren't enemies at all. In fact, they get along quite well together. Strange, isn't it? Tyrants must have something in common too, to teach our peoples to hate each other, giving us less time to think of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because if we should ever seize those rights, how awkward for leeches. The weapons in this fight are printing presses and finally guns, and the money to buy them both. You promised to be very troublesome to the Tsar. In fact, in the interest of added safety, he has thought it wise to send you a new governor of Poland. The man with a bloody record, the most efficient hangman he could find. This hangman is on his way to Poland now. His purpose is to hunt down meetings such as this. He will set spies among you. He will lay traps.
We're late.
I'm sorry. We must go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What would happen if I didn't remember things?
Where have you been?
I'm sorry, Father.
Frederick.
Well?
You simply cannot get that boy away from the piano.
Look at him. How can he possibly play in such a state?
Frederick, it's Paganini playing.
Well, at last. Be ready, please.
Chopin.
Encore! Encore!
Excellency, we thought the roads would prevent your arriving tonight. May I present to you His Excellency, the Governor-General of Poland. Newly appointed by His Majesty the Tsar. A place for His Excellency.
Please, continue.
Yes, continue. You, young man, continue. Well, we are waiting.
I do not play before Czarist butchers.
What did you gain by it? Tell me. What could you have hoped to gain by it?
Frédéric will never teach at the conservatory now.
That is certain. And I hope that is all, Professor. I hope the punishment stops there.
Frédéric, why did you do it?
Well, what are you waiting for? There'll be an order for your arrest by morning.
Get out of this house, Frédéric.
Out of the country.
Out of the country? Where? Where would he go? Why not Paris?
I hate to leave like this.
You must, Frédéric. Perhaps the professor is right. Perhaps he's always been right about Paris.
I have no heart for it.
Try, Frédéric, try. And don't forget us.
It's done, sir.
Frédéric.
This is Polish earth, Frédéric. And don't ever forget it.
Frédéric.
Stop to clean up first.
Waste time to clean up, my boy. We're here.
Yes, monsieur? Yes, monsieur?
Monsieur Pleyel, please.
Monsieur Pleyel?
No, that's all. We wish to see him. Tell him Professor El...
One moment, please.
What's the matter with him? He doesn't let me finish.
Professor, don't you think...
Your manuscripts. Take them out. Where are they? For immediate publication. We should be ready with a half a dozen of the best. What is it you wish to see Monsieur Pleyel about? What is it I wish to... You are not Monsieur Pleyel? No. No, of course. I know Monsieur Pleyel. Who are you?
Henri Dupin.
Dupin. Ah, Dupin! His secretary. Yes. Delighted. Freddy, Monsieur Dupin. Is Monsieur Pleyel in?
Yes, but I...
Well, then tell him... No. Don't say a word. We'll surprise him. Come, Freddy.
Monsieur, he is extremely busy.
Ah, but when he knows who's...
Wait, please, wait!
Monsieur, I ask you! Pleyel. How are you, my dear friend? Why, you look wonderful. Simply wonderful. How glad I am to see you. Well, I brought him Frédéric. Frédéric! Come in. What's the matter with you? There he is, as good as my word. This is Monsieur Pleyel. Shakes hand, Frédéric.
How do you do, monsieur?
Frédéric...
Chopin.
Chopin.
You must excuse our appearance,
Well, we rushed right from the coach to you. You can understand that, my dear Louis?
Yes. Must be quite a journey.
Indeed. Warsaw to Paris is no stone's throw. You're surprised. You gave us up by a match.
Gave you up? Well, to be frank...
My dear friend, when Joseph Elsner writes he's coming, you can count on it.
What? You wrote? Your letter must have been lost.
No, you answered me. Here, let me show you. You see? You remember?
I'm afraid it was some time ago.
Well, I'm aware it wasn't yesterday, but after all, how long was it?
Just 11 years, monsieur.
Really? Well, how time flies. Well, let us not waste any more time. You'd like to hear him, of course. I know it's just a formality. Sit down, Frédéric.
Monsieur, I'm an extremely busy man.
Naturally, so don't keep Monsieur Pleyel waiting.
Especially after 11 years.
That's what I mean. Go ahead, sit down.
One moment, please.
Perhaps another time, Professor.
Now.
Professor Elsner.
Yes?
I must inform you, regretfully, that a concert for this young man under my auspices is out of the question.
Why?
Because for one thing, Pleyel Hall is taken solidly for indefinitely in the future.
I expected that. But when an exceptional artist appears, you merely move everybody down one, and you make a place.
Oh, you do, eh?
If he were only a pianist. But you will want to publish his music, too. Where is it? Oh, I let him. Believe me, his compositions are genius.
My dear sir, genius sells 3 for a franc at every street corner in Paris.
What? I don't understand.
I speak very plainly, monsieur.
Come, Professor.
But
But your letter?
He was then what they call an infant prodigy. There might have been interest if you had brought him to me then.
But infants have a tendency to grow up, and a prodigy becomes more prodigious.
Out of the question, sir. Out of the question.
Professor, there are other auspices in Paris.
The best is Louis Pleyel. I insist on Louis Pleyel. I will accept nothing less.
Monsieur Pleyel, Franz Liszt.
My music.
Monsieur Liszt. Maestro.
Ah, Pleyel.
Who wrote this? This? Is it Paul? Who wrote this?
Yes, sir. No. Excellent.
Ah, the composer.
You do me a great honor, Monsieur Liszt. What do you call this? Polonaise. It isn't finished. Polonaise. Spirit of Poland. Magnificent. Thank you, Maestro. And you play it with spirit, too. The fire of a patriot. I should like to shake your hand, but I don't want to stop. If I play the melody and you play the bass, we should each have a free hand. Agreed?
Anything else? Could he be ready in 2 weeks' time? I say, could Monsieur Chopin get a concert ready in 2 weeks?
Actually give him
A concert? Yes. Isn't that what you came to Paris for?
What a city. People not only look good, they smell good.
Let's go back to our rooms.
8 hours practicing for one day is enough. Relax. You know where we're having dinner? The most distinguished restaurant in Paris. Celebrities at every table. So I reserved a table for another celebrity. Look, on the walls, Frédéric, Victor Hugo, Alexander Dumas, Liszt, Balzac. Balzac! Pardon me. Look. The table reserved for Frédéric Chopin. Chopin! Chopin, the great Polish pianist.
Yes, oui, monsieur.
Chopin.
Ah, you know Chopin?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of the foremost figure in music? Why, that's a confession of ignorance, sir.
Indeed?
Indeed. Why, in Warsaw, the public went mad about him. On one occasion, the famous critic, Kalkbrenner, heard him and simply raved.
I don't believe it.
And ignoramus wouldn't. If you would aspire to culture, sir, go quickly and get your tickets for tomorrow night's concert. It will be a positive sellout.
How do you do, Mr. Kalkbrenner?
Now, Professor, what's the matter with you?
A little advertising never hurts. Balzac. What a world. Believe me, those fellas knew a thing or two about advertising. Well, smile for a change. Relax. What are you doing?
Something on the Polonaise.
This is not the way to relax, not the time for Polish themes. I said relax. You know who else comes here? The great newspaper critics. That fellow there is from Le Figaro. And there's Le National. And there's Le Ton.
Oh, you made the rounds of the newspapers today.
Soup. Very, very hot. Yes, monsieur.
You said you wouldn't.
I just dropped in for a moment. Where's the harm?
Haven't you said that a real artist will get to the top sooner or later by his own efforts?
But why later? It can be sooner.
What am I going to do with you?
Oh, without me. One critic I missed. The most important one. Kalkbrenner. They say he's a dyspeptic rascal. But I'll know how to handle him. I'll be very charming. You know, I can be charming.
Ah, Chopin. And the professor. Georges, let me introduce Frédéric Chopin. I told you about him. And Professor
Elsner. Joseph Elsner.
Georges Sand, gentlemen, and Alfred de Musset.
I hope you like Paris, Monsieur Chopin. I'm sure Paris will like you.
Tomorrow night, I'll be there. Georges Sand.
And, the one with his nose in the air?
Alfred de Musset, great poet.
Yeah, she's sure of it. Sand. Sand?
Novelist, one of the finest in France.
Ah. Remarkable city, Paris. His voice was peculiar.
He is a woman, Professor.
What?
A woman.
The man is a woman. It's a little unusual, isn't it? How do you know?
Well, I read just one of her books, the story of her own life.
And does she say why she... does he say why she... Why does she wear pants?
Well, she was afraid they wouldn't take a woman writer seriously, so she decided to take a man's name.
Mm-hmm. And from there drifted into pants. Remarkable city, Paris. Eat, Freddie.
And what will you have next, monsieur?
Let's see. The menu. It's gone. The one with your music on it. Where's the menu that was here?
I'm sorry, monsieur. I took it away.
Away? Where?
I'll get you another one.
It doesn't matter, Professor. I remember the notes.
That's not the point. This is a room full of artists, and they are thieves.
That's it.
Of all people, that bilious dog that gave me such an argument. This will be a pleasure.
Professor.
What kind of musical goulash is this? If you please. Man of your type should have nothing to do with music. Goes without saying that was absolutely flat.
You say that to me with my ear?
A donkey has ears, but does he know music? And for your information, this was written by that same Frédéric Chopin. I am Joseph Elsner, his teacher. Professor Joseph Elsner. You'll be reading about her, sir.
On the contrary, sir, I'll be writing about you. My name is Kalkbrenner.
Oh, my goodness. Frederick!
What's the matter now?
Now, it's this collar, this button. How do you get into this without choking to death? Help, I'm going crazy. Help me,
I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
Do you call this civilized? I would tie up lunatics in a suit like this. Look at you, not half dressed. We'll be late.
I've been dressing both of us.
Oh, all right. Take your time. Take your time. Be calm. Be calm. How do you feel?
Calm.
Well, don't worry. It'll pass over. Imagine you're playing in your own room at home. Pay no attention to the audience.
There.
There. Well, what is standing like this? Have we got all night? Mind me, Freddie, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Oh, come in.
It's the postman, Professor.
This time of night. What's the matter?
A letter with 4 seals.
4 seals? From Warsaw.
Sign, please.
Frédéric, a letter from Warsaw with 4 seals.
Well, open it. Well?
Just a minute. My dear Professor Elsner.
From Isabel to you? Why to you?
I don't know. All of us are in good health, and we send our most affectionate greetings. I'm writing this to you so that you could use your own judgment as to telling Frédéric. Perhaps I'd better not.
Go on.
There's very painful news. The night of Frédéric's departure, Jan and our Russian friends were caught and imprisoned for aiding in Frédéric's escape. Frédéric, later is time.
They are both dead. They beat them to death.
Frédéric, we're not dressed yet. We'll be late.
Jan.
Frédéric, you have work tonight. Important work. Frédéric. Frédéric.
I'm sorry, Professor.
Frédéric.
Outrageous.
Please, he was terribly troubled. This would not happen again.
I assure you it will not.
You mean you would not consider...
Certainly not. I'm afraid you've strongly overrated your pupil.
No, I've strongly overrated you. Good morning. Up already? Tell the truth, you didn't sleep.
Not very much. How are the reviews of the concert?
Review? Oh, the concert. No, I haven't seen them. That's the Polish theme. Beautiful, Frédéric. Very strong.
Come, Professor, you have every morning newspaper there.
Oh, yes.
How are they?
Well, not bad. Not enthusiastic. In fact, they're the most abominable things I've ever seen. You'd think they would admit that up to the time you stopped playing, it was magnificent. But no. Wait. I'll read you the prize of the lot. By Kalkbrenner. May his dyspepsia grow worse. One passage here. Listen to this. Apart from the fact that the young man has no musical memory and exhibited the emotion of a schoolboy, I would say about his playing that he needs at least 3 more years of schooling and a change of teachers. That last dig, that was for my benefit. And your Polonaise you played, you know what some idiot calls that? Barbaric.
It's a long walk back to Warsaw, Professor. We'd better start.
Never. Do you think we come to Paris after 15 years and go home after 1 attempt? Never. I refuse to walk back to Warsaw. In fact, I couldn't. My shoes need restoring. This one I won't even dignify with a reading. What's this? A genius such as this Frédéric Chopin appears only once in 100 years. You hear that? A star has risen among us, brighter than we'd ever seen. Your son. The man who's a woman. What's the difference? Let it be half goat. Here's a talking point. We'll play L. Here's a second concert in our pockets. Come in. Yes.
By messenger.
By messenger? I don't have to sign?
No, monsieur.
Thank you, Madame Monsieur. Frédéric Chopin, for you. Yes. Well, what is it? What is it?
My dear Chopin, it would please the Duchess of Orleans if you and your teacher would attend a reception at her home tonight. Your son.
The Duchess of Orleans? How does George Sand know that it would please the Duchess? Oh.
Monsieur Frédéric Chopin, this is Joseph Elsner.
Professor Joseph.
Professor Joseph Elsner.
Frédéric, I think I brought 2 left gloves.
Put the other one in your pocket.
How are you, my dear Chopin?
Monsieur Liszt.
Good evening, Professor.
This is all quite dazzling, Monsieur Liszt.
Yes, I don't know what's underneath, but the surface is very highly polished.
May I steal your protégé for a few minutes, Professor?
Certainly, certainly. I'll get acquainted with the company.
Madam, I bring you Monsieur Chopin.
Madame Sand.
If you'll excuse me.
I've wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me and for this invitation.
Not at all, Monsieur Chopin. You belong here, among all the other distinguished artists of Paris.
That's very gracious of you.
Might I ask a favor of you?
Of course, madame.
I want you to promise me, for this evening, you'll execute all my orders, completely, and without any questions. The first order is, sit down, Monsieur Chopin.
My dear Monsieur Kalkbrenner, I promised you I would play this evening. I deliver myself up to you.
Splendid. Splendid. The Duke, where is the Duke? With your gracious permission. Ladies and gentlemen, I have persuaded the greatest artist of our day to honor us. If you will repair to the music room, you will hear Maestro Franz Liszt.
Your Grace, I have a request to make. To create the proper atmosphere for the music I'm about to play, I ask that the room be darkened.
What's going on here? The reception over?
For some people, yes. For others, just beginning.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Beginning?
Is it? I never heard of it.
That, my dear friend, is by my pupil Chopin. Rather warm in here, don't you think?
Anything would sound good. Played by Liszt.
Your Grace, ladies and gentlemen, permit me. One of the greatest artists of our time, Frédéric Chopin.
And who are you to disagree with Franz Liszt?
Oh, Professor Elster, could I discuss a little business matter with you?
Business? Now? Isn't that rather vulgar?
And I want to publish Frédéric's music as soon as possible.
Indeed, you'd better, because mark my words, sooner or later they're going to steal those melodies.
Exactly. Now, if you and Frédéric will be at my office tomorrow morning at 10, we can draw up the contract.
Tomorrow at 10. Well, I have to see what's on the calendar. Besides, I should like to consider this a little.
Oh, surely you're not thinking of asking for any better terms?
My dear Louis, I can guarantee nothing. Where's Frédéric?
Leaving with Liszt and Sand, I believe.
Oh, well.
Gone, Joseph. In fact, I'm afraid Paris has claimed him.
The more honor to Paris.
Can I drop you at your home in my carriage?
Oh, yes, I don't mind. Arrive barefoot and leave in a fancy carriage.
Monsieur Pleyel, I would like... Busy, please. What's that, Joseph?
Oh, I was saying, remarkable city, Paris. Remarkable.
To Frédéric Chopin's future.
Whatever it amounts to, madame. I owe it to you and to Franz Liszt.
Oh, it was a pleasure, my friend. Though it was foolish of me to help. You are a little too talented.
Tell me, my dear Chopin, what are your plans?
Well, to give concerts, I hope. As soon as possible.
Why so soon?
Artists must live, Georges.
And certain causes must live, too. I'm thinking of my people back home. You see, there was a purpose in coming to Paris.
I thought so. But I'm rather concerned about this, Franz. Look at him. Pale and drawn. Now, that's what purpose can do to a man. No, I don't like this at all. I suggest we take him to Nohant for a few days.
Very good idea.
And where is Nohant?
It is Georges' place in the country.
An entirely different world, where there are no purposes. Will you be ready to take the early coach in the morning?
I'm afraid that isn't possible.
Wouldn't you care to go?
Oh, yes, I would.
Well, then why not?
Well, I feel that I should discuss a matter like this.
With the professor?
Yes.
Of course. Especially such an important matter as a 3-day holiday. I shouldn't make up my own mind about such things if I were you. That wouldn't do at all. It's a pity, Franz, but Monsieur Chopin won't be with us.
I fell asleep. It's 5 o'clock. What are you doing?
Now, don't be alarmed, Professor. I was going to wake you before I left.
Before you left?
I'm taking the early coach this morning. Into the country to Madame Sand's place at Nohant with her and Franz Liszt.
I must still be asleep.
Just a short holiday. For a week, that's all.
But wait, we signed contracts with Pleyel this morning at 10 o'clock.
Well, a few days won't matter.
They do, Frédéric. When Monsieur Pleyel is ready, we should be there.
I know, but...
And no but.
Now, please, will you listen?
So holidays, no. All right, Frédéric, I'll listen. But you can understand.
Well, after all she's done for us, I couldn't very well refuse.
I see. So without even discussing it with me?
Well, certainly in a matter like this, Professor. I ought to be able to make one decision for myself. I can't be tied to your apron strings forever and be treated like a boy of 10.
Certainly not. Point is, you want to go.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because you are grateful. And you find it rather fascinating besides. I'm no connoisseur of women with my weak eyes, but I can see that much. I can understand anything. But when it's a matter as important as Monsieur Pleyel...
Because you say it must be this very morning at 10 o'clock.
I simply say that when Monsieur Pleyel is ready...
He'll be ready in a week from now.
And you can tell Madame Sand, since you must have holidays, that she can wait another day.
She's decided to leave this morning.
I see. And every selfish desire of the interesting Madame Sand is law.
Why do you say that?
Am I a child? I have eyes. I see trousers on a woman. I know that woman has a will of her own, and I have ears. I hear about her reputation, books that shock the world, and laws of conduct designed for herself, which is her own business, except when she interferes with the business of Frédéric Chopin and Joseph...
Bye, Professor.
Frédéric, take care of yourself. The dampness is bad for you. And have a good time. You hear?
This melody is for you, George.
Thank you, Frederick.
It wants to say that I'm grateful. That I'll never forget these 3 days in Noir.
You mean it was delightful? So pleased to have known you?
George. So pleased to know you as long as I live.
Really?
We'll be in Paris together?
Oh, no, I'm afraid not, Frederick. Franz and you will go back to Paris tomorrow. I have some writing to do.
Here in Noir?
For work, Noir is much too close to the world. There's an island off the coast of Spain, Mallorca. That's where I'm going.
That's too far away.
I wish you could see it, Frederick. Filled with sunlight. And the moon there is incredible. Such peace and beauty you've never dreamt of. I wish you could work there. For a while. Just a little while. You could write miracles of music in Mallorca. is where I work. How can an artist serve a cause, Frédéric, unless first he serves himself? First, you must find the best road for your talent and follow it in the face of anything. What's your road, Frédéric? Playing music? Concerts? Many men can do that. Your genius is creating music for smaller men to play. Follow that genius, Frédéric, or you are lost. And so is everything with it. Work. Shut the world out. This is what artists have been crying for down through the ages. A place apart, away from the petty struggles of men who have no talent. Be selfish with that genius, Frédéric. Stay here, write music, send it back to Paris, and I shall prove to you how 1 billion rabble will send you back everlasting glory.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, yes, indeed. Doctor.
Look at the others. Every one magnificent. Waltz, mazurka, nocturne, another nocturne, waltz brillant. Joseph, run through them.
That was all he sent?
All? Isn't this enough?
I was looking for a particular work. Oh, these must be charming, don't misunderstand, but this was a bigger work. The unfinished Polonaise. The one he and Liszt played, here, together.
I don't know about that, but these are magnificent. And how they will sell.
Yes, I have no doubt.
Go on. Go through them, Joseph.
I'll take them with me. Meanwhile, you are arranging for Frédéric's concerts.
Concerts? Let him write works like these and there won't be concert halls big enough. When he returns.
He told you he was not returning?
No.
Well, why do you think so?
Well, I merely... Didn't he tell you?
Yes. He'll return very soon. Very soon. Good day, monsieur.
Madame Mercier. The matter we discussed a few days ago.
Yes, Professor?
Well, I had no word yet?
I would have noticed a letter from Majorca.
So you would.
I'm afraid I can't wait any longer, Professor. I'll have to have these rooms.
I understand, Madame. Tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Does it occur to you you may never hear from him?
It does not.
Only a simple old man like you would sit and wait for that young noble.
Quiet! You're addressing Joseph Elsner, Madame. A great teacher of music, as Franz Liszt will tell you. And Frédéric will be back when he's ready for a lesson, wherever I happen to be, even in a garret. And as for your rent, I can still teach. And you will receive every cent of it with a bonus for your incivility to Frédéric Chopin, a great artist.
George, where have you been?
Walking.
In this rain? You might have told me you were going.
I didn't think it mattered. You have your own private world at the piano lately. For example, this so-called Polonaise jumble you've been playing for days.
It's merely a mood.
I thought I knew them all. But this mood is something else again. Something that shuts me out completely.
I didn't mean to.
For all my attempts at frankness, I get half-expressed feelings and evasions.
George, isn't it apparent since these endless rains began that I haven't been well?
Is that all it is, Frédéric?
And naturally, I'm not in the mood for waltzes and graceful studies.
You sure you're not aching for Paris and Professor Elsner and causes?
No.
Because in that case, you've only to make a simple decision.
George. I only want to get out of this place. We could go back to Nohant. We could take Majorca back with us.
Living in the same way I've taught you to live?
Yes.
No intruders, with the same contempt for what the world thinks or says. Back in Nohant with me, is that what you choose?
Yes.
You're certain, Frédéric?
One and two and three and four, slow and even. Every note must dance and sing. One and two and three and four, every note must dance and... No, wait, my boy. It's very uneven. Maybe you sit too low, Albert. Wait, here. Try this. Yeah, how's that, huh? I always used to do that with little boys. I got wonderful results that way. Now, again, huh? One and two and three and four. Slow and... Come in. Monsieur Player, Joseph, how are you? My dear friend, come in. This does me great honor.
I had enormous difficulty in finding you, Joseph.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt.
Albert is very glad you did. That'll be all, my boy. Friday, same hour. And practice, you hear?
Yes, Professor.
Very nice talent. Here, sit down.
Thank you. I can only stay a minute. You might have told me you'd moved.
Naturally, I was going to in another day or so. First, I wanted to establish myself. How about a glass of wine, my dear Louis?
No, thank you. I've only a moment. Establish yourself in a neighborhood like this.
What's the matter with this neighborhood?
I could recommend important pupils.
Important neighborhoods. My dear friend, musical talent doesn't look for the correct neighborhood. A cup of tea, maybe. Eh?
Right. Joseph, I came to tell you that Chopin is back.
Really?
When? Where? Where is he? He came back 2 days ago. He's at Nohant.
Why didn't you tell me? Oh, well, now you are stupid. Where would he find me? Still, if he went to Madame Mercier, she would tell him. But back only 2 days after a long journey. What's the matter with me?
What are you doing?
I'm going to Nohant. What do you think I'm doing?
Perhaps you ought to write a note first.
A note? Who's got time to write notes? But you, Louis, you'd better see to the concert. It's high time Frédéric went to work. Did you hear me?
Yes.
And please have some wine.
Well, thank you. Perhaps I'd better be going.
Yes, you're right. I'd better be going. Good day, my friend, and thank you.
Yes, sir, monsieur. Come in, monsieur.
How do you do, madame? You had a pleasant journey, I hope?
Yes, thank you.
You do remember me?
Professor Elsner.
I wondered. Well, how's Frédéric?
We were quite certain you had gone back to Poland, Professor.
To Poland? No, I assure you, I'm right here in France. Frédéric. You have no idea, after all this time, how this sounds to me, madame. Would you tell him I'm here, please?
I never interrupt him when he works.
Very good rule. I can wait. Though, believe me, this is one interruption Frédéric would not mind.
It's quite possible that he might. Or let me put it this way. He might be much happier to know you had gone back to Poland, Professor.
Pardon me, madame, I find that a very extraordinary idea.
It's very simple. Frédéric despises scenes. In fact, he's quite cowardly about them. And what he has to say to you, Professor, you would no doubt find unpleasant.
I would?
You would have to say that much has happened since he last saw you. His outlook is greatly changed. He has found his work in these surroundings. And he would like to go on living as he is living now.
If you don't mind, I'd like Frédéric to tell me that himself.
As you wish.
Excuse me.
Professor Elsner,
Yes?
what would you say of the music Frédéric wrote in Mallorca?
Why, very charming.
Is that all?
Beautiful. I know Frédéric's abilities quite well. What is it you want me to say exactly?
It has made him the most talked of composer in Europe.
Yes, and also talked about in a way I never thought to hear about Frédéric. But in any case, there are other things to do now. Things a little more serious. In his music writing and his concert work.
Concerts are out of the question.
Yes?
He's too ill for that.
Frédéric?
That is, he was ill in Mallorca. He couldn't stand the strain of concerts now.
Well, maybe not now.
Or at any time in the future. He hasn't the temperament for it.
Oh, how regrettable. But with a little effort on Frédéric's part, I'm sure the suitable temperament can be found. Especially since these concerts have a purpose, madame.
His purpose is to serve his own work. And that purpose is best served by what he is doing now.
And your own not too highly commendable purposes, they're also served, madame. So, naturally, that's how you desire it.
And how Frédéric desires it.
Yes, of course. The example of your own life is very persuasive, no doubt, to one so young as Frédéric, the artist living quite apart, serving himself for his own greater glory, and the world bringing gifts. But it will please not enter. Merely set them down outside the door. I'm sorry, madame. You're a lady of very strong will, used to having her way in all things. But I shall not see you have this way with Frédéric.
You decided that, Professor?
His whole life decided it. And I shall have my way in this matter, madame.
And you are used to having?
Where Frédéric is concerned, yes. For 20 years. Since he played his first lesson for me. Since I listened to his first composition. Since I encouraged him to take his place as the first musician of our time. For a reason we both believed in. Yes, I've had my way. Frédéric! Frédéric! It's Joseph Elsner, Frédéric.
Professor Elsner, how have you been?
Fine, thank you.
And the teaching?
Oh, excellent, excellent. I have a pupil or two. In 10 more years, serious competition for you, Monsieur Liszt.
I don't doubt it. Something of Frédéric's?
Oh, yes, I happened to be passing, and, well, I enjoyed our meeting, Monsieur Liszt.
Professor, you haven't seen him for a long time.
Monsieur Pleyel keeps me informed.
Did you know that Frédéric is not well?
But there's no danger. You agree there's no danger?
Yes.
Well, then, what can be wrong? I'm very busy, and Frédéric is too. So, well, monsieur?
Well, he plays occasionally. I mean, in some salon. Wouldn't you care to hear him?
No, thank you. Salons are not my circles.
I shall see that you are invited.
Thank you, just the same. Good day, monsieur.
Nevertheless, each time you shall be invited.
The news will undoubtedly disturb Frédéric.
This miniature upheaval, 1,000 miles from Paris? I doubt it very much.
Good morning, Frédéric.
I'm late for our appointment, Louis. Please forgive me.
How do you feel today, Frédéric?
Scarcely in the mood for a business talk, Louis. I haven't been sleeping well. If I had some relief from this tightness. And I have a great deal of work to do. Several things I've been trying to put on paper. So if it's nothing too important...
He brings the same old story, Frédéric. Every city in Europe will pay you a fortune for one concert appearance. People are clamoring for you.
You have the same old answer, Louis.
Of course. I realize. However, I still dream of just one concert in Paris.
Give up, Monsieur Pell. Frédéric is heard to advantage only in a salon.
And you want me to pound the piano? Reach a lot of idiots in the gallery. You will excuse me. I'm anxious to work. Well, thank you for coming.
No, I don't believe news of Poland will upset him very much, my dear Pale.
Come in. Yes. Well. Constantia. Sit down. Where do you come from? Monsieur Gillet, if you don't mind. A letter for you. Thank you very much. If you'll be so good now. Constantia, here. Let me look at you. When did you leave home? You've been traveling for weeks. What are you doing here? Did you run away?
No.
No. No what?
No, I didn't run away.
You mean they sent you here?
I went to Pleyel to find out where you live.
Well, that was the natural thing to do. What do you mean?
Nothing. I knew I wouldn't find you with Frédéric.
No, naturally not. The city would be bad for him. He needs the country air. You know he's ill. I wrote it 1,000 times.
Your letters may have fooled his family, Professor Elsner, but not us.
Oh, I see. I was trying to fool somebody. Let me understand this.
The country air he needs is at Nohant, with Madame Georges Sand.
All right, at Nohant. Yes, well, what's the difference where?
Professor, this last uprising, I can tell you it was pitiful. Clubs and knives against bullets and cannon, and our best people not there to lead them. They're in jail. Every man who can speak or think or write or paint. Titus, Carl, all of them. With money, we could bribe many of them free. If anything of the past, just a small spark, is still alive in Frédéric.
If anything is alive in Frédéric, what a preposterous statement. He's the same boy you knew. And I shall prove it to you, you will see. And I will not have him slandered. Don't you suppose if he could? But if a man is seriously ill, money from the sale of music, he can live, that's all. Concerts where money is made have been out of the question. Well, what would you have him do?
Beg or steal, as we would. Use his reputation. Gather his friends, the great people of France that he lives with, and bludgeon them for help without shame or pride.
Yes, he could do that, and should. I'll have a talk with him, Constantia.
Do you ever see him, Professor?
Do I ever see him? Amazing question. You've made up your minds to everything, all of you. See him constantly here. Tonight at the Salon of the Duchess of Orleans. Frédéric will play, and I am asked to attend. Wherever Frédéric plays, will I please be there?
From Franz Liszt.
Yes. Frédéric's friend, my friend. So you see, your question is absurd.
Then of course you'll go, Professor. And when you see him, will you give him this?
Well, I hadn't intended to go, but under the circumstances, I will.
Your Grace will pardon me. I shall continue in a moment.
You wish to see Frédéric?
That is why I came, madame.
Please. Monsieur Elsner came to see you.
Good evening, Frédéric. You are more ill than I imagined.
Why did you come here tonight, Professor?
We've both been busy for quite a while, Frédéric, but one day it was bound to be necessary that we have a talk.
This is not the time or the place.
If it is important to Monsieur Elsner, as it seems to be, why should you avoid a talk? At any time or any place. To save time, Monsieur, since the guests are waiting. There have been uprisings recently in Poland, Frédéric. I believe that's what the good professor came here to tell you.
I'm sorry to hear it.
Naturally. And so is every decent thinking person. These are the sores of this planet which we all regret. They must be healed or burnt out with time.
I beg your pardon, with the struggles of people.
People whose struggle it is, not Frédéric. Nor any man who has any obligations to his genius.
Peculiar. How differently we once felt. That genius is a rare gift. So many ordinary people seem to be robbed to make one such man. And the man worthy of the gift should grow closer to those people as he becomes more great. Fight harder for them with that same genius. But what a waste of that gift in a man who loses all sense of decency and honor, who flowers into a selfish, isolated fop, companion of a debased...
Frédéric! We can't keep the guests waiting any longer.
One thing, Frédéric. It will just take a minute. Constantia. You remember her. Constantia's come to Paris to ask for help for such men as Carl and Titus, who were in prison back home. I promised to bring her an answer.
The answer has been given.
I would help if I could.
Money. Just money could break them free.
Isn't it clear there's nothing I can do?
Unless it's Frédéric's life they want.
In my opinion, madame, he's not living now.
Frédéric.
This is where you live, Professor?
Yes, I know.
Well, how was the evening?
Oh, charming. Quite wonderful. I think I'll walk a little.
The young lady's up there waiting for you.
Yes. I know.
Frédéric, what's happened?
Forgive me for sending for you at this hour, Louis.
What is it?
Do they still ask me to appear in London, Rome, Vienna?
Of course.
Then arrange such a tour in every city that wants me. And make it pay, Louis. Squeeze every last franc out of them. An art you know so well.
But Frédéric, are you sure of this?
The money's to go to Professor Elsner. He will know what to do with it.
But perhaps we should discuss this further. You must consider your health.
I want to start immediately. Will you see to it, please?
No,
I'm deeply obliged to you, Louis.
Isn't this rather foolish, Frédéric? You're evidently disturbed about this, but it's childish to rush to extremes. You can't do what is humanly impossible. You realize that? You realize that to make this tour is literally and actually suicide? We'll send after Plel and tell him that you've changed your mind.
It's late, isn't it? It was very hard to tear myself away. You see, we talked.
Until now?
Yes. I walked a little. He was terribly moved. I can't quite tell you. Of course, it goes without saying, he'll do something. Anything. Concerts would, of course, be the answer, but you have no idea how he looks. I doubt whether concerts will be possible. Still, he'll consider it.
Will he?
I said he would. If it's humanly possible. You don't believe me. You've made up your mind. I'm a liar. Go back and slander Frédéric at home. Don't listen to me. I merely swear to you, Frédéric is Frédéric. He's forgotten nothing. If he had an ounce of strength to give, he would... Come in.
Joseph, I've just come from Frédéric. He's asked me to arrange a tour. Did you hear what I said? Frédéric on concert tour.
What's so amazing, my dear Louis? I was just telling this young lady. I was certain he would.
You think this is strength, Frédéric, and high purpose. I call it puling weakness. Give your life into other people's hands, and the character you have left is what those people graciously let you have. No one knows this human jungle better than I. No one ever fought more bitterly to survive in it. To have had some talent and ambition, and to be a woman. In masculine eyes, something slightly better than a head of cattle. I buried the woman, wrote behind a man's name, wore trousers to remind them I was their equal. Yes, and was fully as moral as they were. No more, no less. Maybe you think it didn't cost the woman something to do it, year after year in the face of contempt and slander. But there was the reward to remember. I ruled my own life, and what I set out to do, I did. You followed that example and became great. And now if 1,000 weaklings came to me to draw me into their hopeless causes, to ask me to lift their misbegotten lives at the waste of my own, I'd see every last one of them rotting first. That would be strength and dignity. Frederick!
Gift should grow closer to those people as he becomes more great. Fight harder for them with that same genius.
That to make this tour is literally and actually suicide?
Constant. The professor?
He'll be here soon.
Franz?
He's in the next room, Frederick.
I would like to hear the piano. Would Franz play for me?
Sorry to intrude, monsieur. But this was quite necessary.
Shall we pause for a moment?
No, Monsieur Delacroix. Let us go on. Yes, monsieur?
Frédéric has been asking for you, madame. He's dying.
Are you satisfied, monsieur? Do you know anything that could replace a life as great as his?
Yes. The spirit that he leaves behind in a million hearts, madame. Will you come to see him?
I think not. Frederick is mistaken to want me. I was always a mistake. I certainly do not belong there now. Good day, monsieur.
Continue, Monsieur Delacroix.
She was too ill to come.
I understand. You're always right. It's better this way. It's like coming home.
It's right, Frédéric. We're home. The trip to Paris was wonderful. Well, didn't I tell you?